greetings, it's Ian from RTO here. Welcome to Tuesday. It's a lovely day, nice and sunny. It's reasonably warmish already. It's going to be hopefully a nice day. So what have we got for you today? Well, we have got a viewer's request, or Richard McCook's request, of the Flying Lizards. Now, this band were formed in 1976 and led by record producer David Cunningham. And he's described it as a loose collective of avant-garde and free improvising musicians. It's included David Toop, Steve Beresford, the instrumentalists, few singers, Deborah Evans Stickland, Patty Padelin and Vivian Goldman, and one or two others. Now, they only made 4 albums. There's one that I'm not too keen on. The others are they're different. That's what I like about them. They are very different. So we'll have a look at these 4 albums. So coming in at number 4, now this is their 4th and final album, and it was released in 1996, and it's called The Secret Dub Life of the Flying Lizards, and the only person that's accredited it was this is David Cunningham. So the first track is called Shake. Yeah, it's very dub and bass, and it's one genre that I just can't get on with in any form or shape. It's quite monotonous and boring. I don't like it, in all honesty. Now the next track, Lime and Salt, I do like that. This has got that little bit of a feel of a Caribbean sound. I think it's one of the better tracks on the album. Then we have Mute, same old dub, drum and bass, horrible muffly noises, not my cup of tea at all. Skin and Stone, it just sounds like the previous trap in my books. I'm not up on dub and bass because I just don't like it. I just didn't like that track either. Crab Craw, sorry. It's got a little bit more, it's got the same boom boom sort of thing, but there's a little bit of extra percussion in it that actually makes it a little bit different from the others. Outside, it's different, but it's not very good either. Little bits of extra percussion, some weird old sounds on this. Inside, it's got that sort of reggae ska beat. It's a little bit better, but not the best. Ash and Diamond, not very good, and Flicker is just unlistenable. I couldn't listen to more than about a minute. It's a pretty poor album for me. I've not got it, and I wouldn't want it. In all honesty, apart from this Lime and Salt, that it's thing, I don't know if it was just a contractual thing. They had to make an album, but it didn't appeal to me. So I'm going to give this 1 out of 10, just for Lime and Salt. Okay, coming in at number 3, we have the second album, released in 1981, and it's called Fourth Wall. Features quite a few collaborators on here, including Mr. Robert Fripp. We've got Patty Padelin on vocals, Dave Cunningham on effects and guitars, harmonicas, keyboards, and Julian Marshall on keyboards and vocals, and J.J. Johnson on drums. Lovers and Other Strangers. Now, I love this. It's a typical sort of... What I like about the Flying Lizards vocals, doesn't matter who's singing it, it's always deadpan and straight to the point and in the same sort of tone all the way through, and that's what makes it unique. I think I quite like that. Glide and spin. I wouldn't say this is a song. It's just lots of sounds with a few words put together and some screeching guitar. Yeah, then we have it In My Lifetime. Very funny this is. I like this. It's got all sorts of weird things on it. It's quite fun. Cirrus, another interesting track. Very strange things going on here, but it's quite palatable to me. I do like this sort of thing. It's a bit like art of noise, you know. A Train, probably one of the best tracks on this album. It is just got these lovely avant-garde sounds, and it seems I'll make a sound out of anything that I can lay my hands on. One of them unique vocals as well. New voice, some little quirky keyboards on this. Yeah, I don't know what sort of keyboard it is. It could be a Fisher-Price keyboard for all I know. It's the Flying Lizards, but it works. Hands Take Two. Again, it's just lots of weird and wonderful sounds on it. An Age, very ambient. You know, 1 minute we've got all these weird and wonderful, and then you get this ambient piece. And then we have a Steam Away, an interesting drum beat, very quirky, like that one. But the best track on here was actually a Curtis Mayfield cover, and it's a cover of Move On Up. Absolutely brilliant. I just love the way that they've interpreted this. It's more of it's told like a story with a bit of background music. It's really good. Then we get another story. I don't like this one. The saxophone just irritates me. It makes my ears go, oh, it doesn't sound right on there. Lost and Found, pretty good. The guitar work is done by Mr. Robert Fripp, and it's pretty good. Certainly a mixed bag album. There's some stuff on here that's really strange, but there's some really clever stuff on this. It's a good listen. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Now, coming in at number 2, now this is an album from 1984, and it's called Top 10. Features Dave Cunningham, and the strings are the Flying Lizard strings of Alexander Blanshaw and Elizabeth Perry, with Sally Peterson doing the vocals on this one. Basically, it's just a covers album, and it is interesting. So, the first one, of course, we've got a Little Richard number, which we all know, called Tutti Frutti. It's the weirdest version I've heard of this, but that deadpan voice, just think, it's fun. I do like that. It's absolutely fun. Then they do a version of Dizzy Miss Lizzie. It's strange and wonderful. It's a Larry Williams thing. It's hilarious. It's really fun. You hear the lyrics. And then my second favourite track on here, it's James Brown's Sex Machine. It's just a brilliant deadpan version of it. Sally's vocals on it are terrific. It's just that really deadpan. There's no other word to describe it. It's just really good. Then we have a little bit of Baccarat and a bit of What's New Pussycat. Tom Jones made this famous, of course. Brilliant. I love it. It's just really good. Then we have Leonard Cohen's Suzanne. You'd never think you'd hear a version like this of this song. The Flying Lizards just turned this on its head. It's certainly different. But my favourite cover on here is a track by the Crystals, and it's Then He Kissed Me. I've heard so many versions of this, and all I can say, this is far better than the Kiss version. It's brilliant how they've done it. It's like she's telling it to a friend, you know, the day after the night before, and she's sitting down talking to a friend about it. I love it. I just love it. And then we have a whole lot of shaking going on. from Jerry Lee Lewis. Again, let's turn it on its head and give it something different, and this one didn't work, I don't think. I don't know why. Then we have a bit of Jimi Hendrix. Yes, Jimi Hendrix and a version of Purple House. God, if Jimmy heard this, he'd turn in his grave. But it's just delivered in that deadpan way. Then we get Great Balls of Fire, and I love this. It's really good. Just makes it sound totally different, but very clever. And then I think another great version is a track called Tears, written by Caparano. Ken Dodd made this famous. It's different, and I quite like it. It's just got a really sort of weird speed to it. You never hear when you hear Ken Dodd, you'll never hear this. Think of hearing it like this. Absolutely brilliant. Last track. But I must admit, I think this is a fabulous album. It turned out they turned songs totally upside down, and I'm not very keen on cover albums, but I just love this, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, but the number one, and it has the debut album, Flying Lizards, that came out in 1979. David Cunningham, David to Steve Beresford, Michael Upton, Deborah Evans Strickland, Vivian Goldman and Julian Marshall. Opens up again with the song Von Mandalay, the Mandalay song. Take another cover, turn it upside down and make it their own. Absolutely cracking song. I do like that version of it, really good. Then we get a track called Her Story. I think this is great. It's actually Deborah actually singing properly, and it shows that she's got a really nice voice. Unbelievable song. Then we get TV, second favourite track. This was a bit of I think this was a single, and it's quirky. I love the keyboards in this. It's very simple rock and roll with simple singing machines on this, and trumpets and Fisher-Price pianos, and it is really good. I like that one. And then we get a track called Russia, very quirky. I think it's a case of finding any instruments lying about, and we'll have a bash at it and turn it into something musical. So they're very clever at that, and I do like that. Then we get another cover of this time Eddie Cochran's Summertime's Blues. Deborah's vocal on this is fantastic. I do like that. But my favourite song, and it's that big hit from this album, That's What I Want, is Your Money. I love how Deborah says that. Big hit, of course. I think the Flying Lizards nailed this version, and I actually prefer it to the Beatles version. The different sort of use of instruments, and you can hear like Fisher-Price pianos on it and all sorts. Absolutely brilliant track. One of the best songs of 1979. Then we have Flood. The Flood. I think this is pretty good. It's got a nice bass on it. Pretty cool. And then we get Trouble. These guys are very clever, using simple instruments, sounds, and come up with them, turn it into a musical track. Really good. Events during the flood. Now this is a very ambient sort of thing. Some nice tones on this. I quite like that. It's a little bit different from the rest, and it works. And the last track on here is called The Window. Again, this proves that Deborah could actually sing properly. I mean, I think she's got a lovely voice, and I think this is one of the nicest songs on the album. I think when some of us heard this when we come out, we couldn't believe it. What the hell was this? Money was just very, very simple, but I really like this album. I'm looking to get it again because I did have it on CD. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. So there we go. There was a dip into the wonderful, bizarre life of the Flying Lizards. Great little band, very clever, and they go under the radar a little bit these days, but it's people like me and Richard that keep them, fly the flag for them. Okay, up next we've got retro ranking. It's a little bit different this week. We're going to turn our attentions to some classical music. Now, this is going to be probably the first of two, because it's my top 20 today, and I left off 20 or more other great pieces of music. So at some stage I will do a part 2. But today we got some of my favourite pieces of classical music. So we'll be doing that very soon. So bye for now.